Hello there. Welcome to the Third and 10 podcast, episode 49 now, season two. We are approaching number 50, which is kind of crazy. I'm your host, Nathan Nguyen, joined by my guy, Brian Germinaro. We hope you guys are having a good Tuesday. Um, week 15 of the NFL is now in the books. Damn, it's almost over. The regular season, man.
It's so sad. This is always like the Christmas is coming, so like you're distracted by that and you're happy, but like it's like,
Mhm.
oh, when that's over, football is ending.
It's like, what do we
Uh-oh.
do?
Yeah, what do we do now?
We have to watch basketball. Oh no! I mean, which is bad, which is kind of bad for me because I'm a Lakers fan. It's things aren't going so well over there
Well,
in
you're
good
not
old.
you're not down with the sunset of LeBron James' career and him forcing his son to be on the team. What, that's not exciting enough for you?
Nah, man. I need wins, man. I need wins because my other teams don't win enough for me
No,
to be satisfied. So, but by the time the Super Bowl ends, we're like what, a month away from spring training. So it's not
not
no.
even. Like pitchers and catchers report that week,
Oh, okay.
so
So
it's like it's yeah.
fantastic. I get to see my A's do what their thing in Mesa, Arizona, as they prepare to play their home games in Sacramento,
Let's
California,
go.
instead of Oakland, which is so bad. But otherwise, man, how you doing, man? How was your weekend? Anything
Just
fun happen?
chilling.
Okay, you
Yeah.
watch any games, any Giants games, or did you watch the
I
Giants
watched the
game?
first half of the Giants game, and then I put Red Zone on.
Ah,
By
yeah.
the time I saw Tim Boyle, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this.
Who wasn't that bad, and we'll get to that.
No, but it's
Um,
just like I can't sit here and watch Tim Boyle play
yeah,
this game.
fair enough.
I
Fair enough.
have money on other games going on. Let me see what those are doing on Red Zone.
Fair enough to me. Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I think the pain kind of set in when we were already down by like 21 or whatever the case may be. And when DeVito got out, I was just like, damn, I gotta watch this
I mean,
stuff.
from kickoff, you knew this game was going to be over.
Yeah.
Like when they brought kickoff back in the Giants' territory, I'm like, this is going to be a long game. Now, like, thankfully that drive ended in a fumble, but regardless, the Ravens just got into MetLife and absolutely killed us. And we have a second plane, which I think is going to become a recurring theme until action is taken. Like, I don't be surprised against Indianapolis in 2 weeks.
Weeks.
2 weeks if there's another airplane flying over the stadium.
So we have Indy and we played Philly.
Philly's the last
Yeah,
week of this. We're going to Philly
going
because
to
we played
Philly.
Philly
That's right.
already. Yep.
So,
So Indy's the last home game,
and
and they need a
that's
win to go. If they don't, they'll go 0-9. And like
yeah.
this is where I'm at right now with the Giants. Like if they go 0-9 at home, like you have to. And I don't want to fire Dable or Shane. I would bring them back next year, but if you end on the losing streak that we're going to end on, if you don't win a game in your home building, like that's an embarrassment. And there's one thing Mara hates is the Giants being an embarrassment. So like they're going to have to fire one of the two, maybe both. And like it's not because of anything they did. It's just that the circumstances just didn't work out for them this spot. Like
Mm-hmm.
what if Shane and Dable get fired? I hope they get a job somewhere else to get another shot to prove themselves because they should get a legitimate chance to show that they are competent general manager and head coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always, love them as a package deal. Both of them coming from Buffalo, of course, where Shane was the assistant GM and Dable was known to be this quarterback guru because he fixed or not fixed, but helped Josh
He
Allen be
unlocked
successful.
Josh Allen, I think would be the
Mm-hmm.
better word. Because like
Yeah.
Josh Allen was that boomer bust prospect where it's like he could be really good or he could just flame out in a couple of years. And
Mm-hmm.
Dable figured out how to do really good with him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he couldn't do that with Daniel Jones, and now he's forced to start Tim Boyle.
Yeah. He has no choice right now. So we'll get into all the Giants stuff and NFL Week 15. We'll talk about Josh Allen being a clear favorite for MVP as well after what was an outstanding performance against Detroit, who I really, really feel bad for. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, Brian, including yourself as well, you feel bad for them too because of the amount of injuries, especially to
Oh
one
my
key
god.
player. We'll get to later on in the show. But first, kind of an apology segment to start. So So here's the thing: whenever I'm free, especially after work, when my friends are on, shout out to Casey and Miguel. Um, we play NCAA. We play Ultimate Team.
Oh.
Um, and it's not that serious. Like it's
Oh,
all
obviously not. No.
obviously funny games. So we won. We were in the regular season, so you have to win 5 games in the regular season before you can go into the playoffs. So we won 5 games, all three of us. Fantastic. We got into the playoff. We won 3 playoff games, I think. Yeah, 2 or 3 playoff games. We're 1 win away from the playoff. And it was the national championship though for the other team. Just because you're 1 win away from the national championship yourself doesn't mean that you can't play someone else for their national championship. So we had a chance to upset them. And I was on offense. So it's, as you know, and if you guys don't know out there as well, you have three. So if it's a trios, you have 3 positions. So one person is offensive captain, one is defensive captain, one is head coach, who just calls, accepts or declines penalties, and calls the coin tosses and all that stuff. I was offensive captain, which is weird because I'm usually the head coach or defense, but the guys were like, "Hey, go run offense." I said, "Okay, sure."
Cool. Will do.
So yeah, so I was on fire. I was slaying it. I was running, my offense to, perfection in a way. I'm a big RPO guy, big RPO guy. I don't know why, but it works. I like to run RPO peak slant. So I have the slant, I have the flat, and I have the handoffs.
Yeah. Everything
was working. We made it to the last game before we go into our own national championship. This is where I buckled.
The problem comes in.
The problem comes in with RPOs because you make one wrong read, it's either a pick six or interception, turnover, whatever you want to call it. We were at the 1 yard line. So
you ran an RPO on the 1 yard line?
I ran RPO at the 1 yard. And here's the thing.
Just hand the ball off.
I know. It's worked though. It's worked. Yeah, last night it was working every time I was calling it at the 1 because I would run the ball and I would try to. We would get stuffed, but the RPO allows me to find the flat so that way I could hit the flat guy since everyone's condensing on the run. This defense, though, didn't condense on the run. So when I threw the
they
flat,
learned. You mean defense learned?
This specific team, they called the right play.
They made the adjustments.
And when I ran the flat, they were right there. It was a wrong play. It was a pick six, and I'm just like, fudge. And
so you're okay. You're Pete Carroll then.
I'm Pete Carroll, basically.
You're Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Every fan is screaming right now.
It was terrible, but yeah. I apologize, boys. It's all fun and games and everything. I felt super bad because that was our one chance. We made it that far to try to make it to our own national championship, and we lost by 3 points because the other team drove down the field, killed the clock, kicked the game-winning field goal. But it's like, what if I handed the ball off? We likely would have won.
You mean the question Seattle's been asking for the past decade? what if you just gave the ball to beast mode?
And in conclusion, I know how Pete Carroll and the Seahawks feel, especially when Marshawn Lynch was laughing at Carroll as he was walking down the sideline and all that stuff. So I'm very obsessed with RPOs, and it's really, really bad. I'm not the best offensive play caller, but that's how I run my offense, is through RPOs and quick plays. Like it's weird. You give me like 2 seconds to throw, I got you. I'm a quick play guy. I love the quick plays. I like slants. I like I mentioned, RPO flats. I like, passes up the middle, like where it's quick. If you give me time to throw, I start fucking panicking. Excuse my language. I'm so
Really?
sorry. Yeah, because I'm looking, but I'm always worried about the defense collapsing.
The pocket, yeah.
Yeah. And my quarterback is Cade Klubnik, by the way, so not the most.
Okay, so you're a pocket passer. You can't move that. You can't move out of that pocket.
Yeah, not the most fastest guy in the world. So I'm just like, I get the ball, I take the snap, I'm just like, I'm looking. But the more it's weird, and this is why I'll never be quarterback. And I don't know how the
You're just describing Daniel Jones. I can't do the reads.
I swear, I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm a fan of the Giants, right? Because I play just like Daniel Jones. I'm looking, but I just panic. Like
Oh
my
wait, you're
mind.
actually going through progression? Yeah, Daniel Jones can't do that. Daniel Jones should be like,
Okay,
okay, flat, open.
wide open. Is a defender there? Sure, but I'll still throw it anyways because you
Ah,
never know.
man, there are 3 guys on him. Oh, Heights, open downfield. I'll just force it here.
And that's why he's in Minnesota.
Exactly.
Um,
That's why he's on the field. That's why he's not a Giant anymore.
exactly. But yeah, it's weird, man, and I felt so bad because we were so close, and hopefully, whenever we get the chance to play in the next
No
hour,
wonder you didn't sleep last night. I would just stare at the ceiling all night after that one.
it was 2 in the morning, and that's when
Yeah,
the
exactly. That's when I turned. That's why I turned it off. Like I'm just gonna go and just stare at the ceiling for a while, I guess. And I don't know.
insert song. Hello, darkness, my old friend. But
Pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah, that was my night yesterday. So my fault, boys. If y'all watching, listening, we'll get back on it hopefully, and hopefully we win. Um, yeah, it's all fun games at the end of the day. Like we
Oh
all
yeah,
just laughing
obviously.
at the end of the night, but it was just tough to lose because we were just so close. Um, but yeah, it was very it was just tough. But anyways, week 15. We'll talk about that because at least some things went team's way, and they actually ran the correct plays. I'm like this guy. Um, I think let's start with Detroit and Buffalo. I
I
think
mean, yeah, the game of the week. That
yeah,
both a game that both teams deserved to win, and it was
I
so sad
know.
that one of them had to lose.
Yeah, like I wish one team tie. Well, they tie. Well, no tie would have been.
No, tie would have been worse. That would
Yeah,
have been pretty bad.
yeah. So, let's start with the Bill side. Well, the final score was 48-42. Yes.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, because they scored, and then there was the onside kick where it's like, wait a minute, Detroit might have this ball. We might get
yeah.
crazy here for a second.
Dude, it was so weird because
I think well, Romo was calling the game, right? It was Romo and Nance.
it
Yeah,
was
Romo was
Romo.
like, I think they have it, Jim.
He's hilarious, dude.
Oh,
I
I love
swear.
him.
I don't know, Jim. I think
I don't know, Jim.
I think
It's like, what are you talking about?
I think he's got it, Jim. Nah, but Buffalo, hell of a game by them offensively. I mean, look, I know in this game specifically defensively, they were just letting the Lions offense just do their thing. But when you have Josh Allen on the sideline, you're all good, man.
Yeah,
Josh Allen, he's the MVP favorite. I mean, I don't know what else to
yeah.
say.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think
for
this.
what he's done with the Bills and from like what he had going into the year, because I think a lot, myself included, expected this drop off because of the loss of Stephon Diggs and not really having the wide receiver number one. We all went back to, well, without Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen is this quarterback, and we've only seen him be that quarterback. Is he going to like regress to that? But
Mhm.
no, shout out to him. He's just without Stephon Diggs, he's gotten better as a quarterback, and that's just
Yeah.
all the credit in the world to him making the most out of I wouldn't say a bad situation because they had talented guys at receiver. They just didn't have the legit wide receiver number one, and they still really don't. Like Amari Cooper is a nice piece, but he's not a wide receiver number one like Stephon Diggs was. Shakir's a nice piece, but again, not a wide receiver number one. But the fact that he's been able to do this and basically lead the Bills to being the best team in the AFC with this roster, it's all the credit in the world to him. And I
Mhm.
know like Lamar Jackson gets a lot of like, oh, it should be Jackson too. Yeah, but Jackson has Derrick Henry in the backfield, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. It's a lot easier to be a very successful quarterback when you have like, a super team on offense.
Yeah, Josh Allen, 362 passing yards, and like you mentioned, that's without Stephon Diggs
Gabe
this
Davis was
season.
a big guy for him for years.
Yeah,
Like Gabe Davis was a guy in fantasy, everyone always expected to take that next step and never did. But he still had a really good connection with Allen. That like he was kind of Allen's Darius Slayton in a way, where it's like he's not a great
Mhm.
receiver, but he's got such a good connection with him that he needs to stay on the roster in some form.
Especially on, like deep balls on the field, he
Yeah.
could trust Davis. Um, and yeah, I think a lot of people, like you mentioned, right, had that heading to this year, like okay, Diggs is gone, Davis is gone. Like you have to depend on Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir, who was he was a solid number 3 when Diggs and
But again,
Davis were here.
solid, not like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a guy who's going to take that step in the wide receiver number 1. Oh, Amari Cooper. Like, I know that's a midseason trade, but on most teams, Cooper's probably a wide receiver 2. I think even he'd be like, yeah, that's probably where I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then when we talked about MVP before the season, I was like, yeah, Josh Allen's going to be MVP, but I didn't expect the season they were having right now.
Yeah.
Like I thought, for me, they were going to win the AFC East. They were going to Josh Allen's going to play really, really well because not only his ability to run with the football, but like because the supporting cast was so weak around him, I was thinking, okay, he'll probably just have a lot of good games where they may lose, but he'll go off for like maybe 2 passing touchdowns, a few rushing touchdowns, and all that stuff. No, he's having incredible performances. He's having 3 touchdowns through the air, 3 touchdowns on the ground days. He's catching touchdowns. He's literally doing everything for this Bills team on offense.
Yeah.
Yes, they have James Cook and Ray Davis in the backfield. Ty Johnson showed out on Sunday as well, mostly through the receiving game, of course, at the backfield as well. Khalil Shakir's having a great year where he just doesn't drop passes.
No, he stepped up. He's like, yeah, okay. If it's not gonna be wide receiver number 1, that's my spot now, and I'll take it.
Yeah, he stepped up. Keon Coleman, when healthy, has made a few plays here and there. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins, and then of course Amari Cooper when he got traded here. Everything has a line for the Bills, but there's no question that Josh Allen is the driving force behind this offense. And after Sunday's performance, he extended his own record with a 6th career game of multiple passing touchdowns and multiple rushing touchdowns. And they won on Sunday without Amari Cooper kind of being involved at all. He had 0 targets on Sunday. Newsflash, a lot of complaints at work by customers.
I mean, yeah, understandably.
That's not the point, though.
Why did Amari Cooper get 0? I don't know. Call Josh Allen.
Like, I don't know.
I'm not out there.
Yeah. People were saying that he didn't even play Amari Cooper. And I'm like, I don't blame you for saying that. But he actually did play.
He was out there for 15 snaps. He just ran cardio.
Yeah. He didn't catch any balls, but he was out there and he played. And the rule is if you play, the pick counts. So,
sorry.
But yeah, Josh Allen, amazing game. Very efficient. 23 of 34, 362 passing yards. James Cook, led the way in rushing with 14 carries for 105 yards as well. And yeah, Josh Allen was amazing despite the fact that the receivers, none of them got over 100 plus receiving yards, except, Ty Johnson, who I just mentioned is the running back, 3rd string running back to be exact. But the Lions were running a lot of man coverage, and that allowed Ty Johnson to kind of just sneak out of the backfield, Josh Allen to find him down the field, and Johnson was getting like multiple 20-yard plus receptions. It was outstanding. He had an outstanding game, I should say. Johnson did. So overall, Buffalo's offense good. Buffalo's defense not so good, and allowing 42 points.
Yeah, that's the one concern you come away for a Bills fan. Be like, ooh, I know Detroit's got good offense, but we gave up 42 points. Like, what are you gonna do when the Ravens come to town?
That's something
that would be concerned. Because you would say the Ravens' offense is better than Detroit's offense, or at least they're similar enough.
True, because you have to be careful, especially. Actually, I do have a lot of. I guess I kind of have confidence in Buffalo in terms of the run defense because they did enter Sunday's game allowing about 4 yards per carry against the Lions, though, which, as we all know, have the duo of Montgomery and Gibbs. They allowed like 3.2 yards. Yeah, Sonic and Knuckles, it was 3.2 yards per carry against Detroit that they allowed. So the run defense was really good by Buffalo on Sunday. And we'll get to Detroit actually just right now because they may have lost, but they played really, really well. Jared Goff he went crazy.
They were down like 21-0 at one point. Like, I was kind of in and out of the game because I was at work and stuff, but like they were down like by multiple touchdowns at multiple points in this game, and they rallied back, which I think just shows how great of a coach Dan Campbell is. And it's like, hey, we're not out of this game yet. We're a great team. Let's go out there and just play our style, and we'll get back in it. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, they were down 14-0 in the first quarter, came back in the second quarter, put up 14 points of their own.
Mm-hmm.
It was 21-14 at halftime, and it was just back and forth scoring wise. And, shout out to Jared Goff, man. I love Jared Goff,
Yeah.
former California Golden Bear quarterback. Yeah, he was very, very good. 494 passing yards, which is insane for him because there's been days where he puts up like 89 yards and then all of a sudden goes off for days like this. It's weird what the stats that he's putting up and stuff like that. But 5 touchdowns on the day. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 193 receiving yards, I should say, on about 14 catches. And this is despite because according to reports, he had food poisoning and he's still going out there.
The Michael Jordan flu game.
Woo, he was really, really good. Jameer Gibbs was good in the receiving game. Sam Laporta had 111 receiving yards. Like this offense played really, really well. But unfortunately, the injury bug, and I don't know what it is. I thought the football gods were nice to the Lions. I thought like this was the year.
They take pity on them. Nope.
No,
Pity.
They're very, very harsh on them this year. Because unfortunately, David Montgomery got injured. I think it was a MCL injury, and it turns out that he's going to be out for the year as it was diagnosed officially to be a torn MCL. So he's going to be out for the year, which sucks because this Lions offense operated really well when you have Montgomery and Gibbs. And I might be overreacting, but I've never seen a rushing attack operate so efficiently with two running backs. It's always like unhappiness or just, the carries are uneven. No, they balance it out really, really well in Detroit with Montgomery and Gibbs, and it just sucks to see Montgomery get hurt.
They perfected the running back by committee with this tandem in a way. Because in a way, it is a weird running back by committee where there's no running back number one, just in different situations. They're running this guy out there or that guy out there. But no, it sucks that we're not going to see Montgomery. And then this is going to be a lot of pressure on Jared Goff now because I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a great running back. Do not get me wrong. And I think they can find a bruising back like a Montgomery somewhere. I'm just saying that the passing attack now needs to take that next level. Like what we saw on Sunday, I'm not saying you need to put up 42 points a game. You need to throw 5 touchdowns. You need to throw over 300 passing yards every single game. I'm not saying that. But you need to lean on the pass attack more than you have in the past. You need to throw 200 yards a game. You need to have multiple passing touchdowns. This is going to be a real test for Jared Goff now that safety blanket's gone. And we're going to see over these next 3 weeks or so, can they adjust like that?
Yeah. It's just this offense operated so well.
It sucks that like the Lions, their best chance to win a Super Bowl, and if they don't win a Super Bowl this year, everyone's going to point to this injury as the reason why they didn't. Like you'll go on NFL history, the Lions were Super Bowl favorites until Montgomery was out for the season. Yeah. Like it's going to be this is going to be another chapter in Detroit's long, miserable curse, or like the defining moment where it's like, hey, the old Lions would have done this, but we went and we faced the adversity, we didn't let it affect us, and we still went out there and won. This would be a real turning point for the Lions organization. And if Dan Campbell has really changed the culture in that franchise, this is your litmus test for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then look, even with this loss, they came into this game winning. They won 11 in a row. So it's like there's no panic, and especially when you compete with the Bills.
There's concern, but panic is no.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I would obviously be like, oh, we like lost one of our main pieces. Like that's I'm concerned what the team's going to do, but I'm not going to be like we're done now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you win 11 in a row heading to this game. You barely lose to Buffalo. You played well the entire game on offense. Like it was a shootout, and sure, defenses may have not stepped up, but you played them close. You almost won. You only lost by 6.
Yeah,
there's no
only lost by 6. It came down to an onside kick. Like what more can you ask your team to do at that point? You came down from multiple multi-score deficits and put yourself in a position to win.
Yeah. So
you played a hell of a game. It's a game you don't deserve to lose, but someone has to lose this game.
Exactly. So a lot of injuries on this Lions team, especially on defense. They lost a few other guys as well. I think one was a defensive tackle. McNeil, I think, was one of them that got hurt. I think Carlton Davis is hurt as well. I'm not exactly sure. Just a lot of injuries on Detroit's team, on the defense specifically, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something to monitor because they played well all year long despite the injuries on that continue to accumulate. But it's just tough to watch this team
Yeah.
just crumble injury wise, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully it doesn't take a huge
Hopefully it
toll on them.
stops. Like, don't think anyone else big out. Like, this
Exactly.
team is like they got duct tape together. Do not break their back.
Nope. Nope.
You
And
don't
they're,
you don't think the NFL is begging for the Detroit Buffalo Super Bowl right now after watching what we just saw on Sunday? They're like, geez, we can get those two teams in, we're fine. Like the storylines are great, and then these are two really good football teams. Please.
exactly. Plus two teams that definitely are owed a Super Bowl after what the
Yeah.
their past that they've gone through. Because we don't
It's
want
two
to.
fan bases that everybody loves. I feel like Chiefs fans, like, it kind of wore off. Like they were like when they first started winning, it's like, oh, good for them. They haven't won in a while. Now it's like, we're kind of over you.
Yeah.
Everybody hates Eagles fans. Like Detroit and Buffalo, it's like, oh, Detroit's like the lovable losers. They're the Cubs. The Bills are these crazy people that love the Bills more than life itself. I'm gonna feel good for both sides, whoever wins this. So
Hmm.
it's a it's a win for America at that point.
Exactly. We'll all get to enjoy the game
Yeah. There's not
along
gonna
with.
be like, man, I don't want the Eagles win because I don't want to deal with their fans all off season. It's like, oh, Detroit won, good for them. Oh, Buffalo won. Hey, way to get to the big game and finally win it this time.
Exactly. So I honestly hope this is a Super Bowl matchup, and it may not be the shootout that it was,
No.
like we saw this past Sunday, but at least we have these two teams in the Super Bowl if that were to happen. Because I swear, if we see the Chiefs in there, or the Eagles, or definitely not the Niners anymore, which we'll
Yeah, the
talk
Niners
about.
have fallen. The Niners are
Yeah.
done.
Ooh, boy. We'll talk about them a little bit in just a bit. Speaking about the Chiefs, though, they won on Sunday, blah, blah, blah. But the biggest
Shocking.
story, yeah, the biggest story is Patrick Mahomes. Got hurt in the fourth quarter, was limping
Got
off the
carted to the locker
field.
room at one point.
Yeah, he is considered week to week. He should be good to go against Houston, according to reports. But um, look, you beat the Browns. Congratulations. Okay,
Yeah.
you beat a guy with a team with Jameis Winston at quarterback. Hallelujah. Good for you. Still concerning.
Oh,
Still
obviously, I'm
concerning.
still concerned.
Yeah, it's
The Chiefs have clinched the playoff spot. Didn't they clinch the division too? Like they're done. They're wrapped up. Like it's
I,
just seeding at this point for them.
yes, it is seeding at this point. They're in the playoffs. It's just a matter
Yeah,
of where they'll be placing.
yeah. Everything for them is wrapped up. But I'm still concerned that this team is not that good. Like I
No.
know they have because they've had so many weird wins and just lucky bounce. It's like they can't keep getting all the lucky breaks. Eventually, it runs out.
Mhm.
Eventually, they're gonna get a field goal that doinks and doesn't go in.
Yeah, like that. The was it last
The
week, right?
Chargers one, yeah.
Yeah, just
Eventually, it's gonna doink and come back. Like every field goal does, that hits the upright.
when it hits upright, it goes out and then just
Mm-hmm.
bounce in to
But
be
like
good.
these phantom penalties are just not gonna get called at one point. Like you can't rely on this. It's like I know like teams will take teams because they're hot and stuff. You can't base a team based off luck. You can't pick a team because hey, they're just really lucky right now. No, that runs out. And
Mhm.
I really think once they face a team like Baltimore or Buffalo, it's going to run out when they have an actual talented roster.
Exactly. Yeah.
And of course, the Chiefs roster is super talented and stuff, but the guys they expected to step up have not stepped up in the way like you expect Travis Kelce to have a big year and he's done nothing.
Nothing. 4 catches, 27 yards. He's just, I don't know, dude.
I saw some Chiefs fans like he's just saving himself for the playoffs. I'm like, all year? All year he's been saving himself for the playoffs? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's 15 weeks.
It's
It's
like,
just
guys,
no
it's week
saving.
15. I think you would turn it on by now.
Yeah, like like LeBron, 0 dark 30, or he turns it on late in the year.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
are late. We are in
We are
December.
we are in December, folks, and like we
December.
haven't had a Travis Kelce game all season.
Yeah, there has been no, because usually he has like a game where he goes up for like 3 touchdowns
Yeah,
or
it's like, oh,
whatever.
Yeah, like if he had won a game like that, I'd be like, okay, yeah, there's Travis Kelce. He's still there. He's just not in it this year. And like maybe when the season gets more serious, he'll turn it up. There's been no signs this year that he's gonna put that extra level on. I don't
Yeah,
care how successful this Chiefs team has been in the past. You gotta look at the results this season. What has Kelce done?
nothing. His best game, which is impressive enough, 14 catches, 100 yards, 0 touchdowns. Took
But that's not
overtime.
impressive for Kelce. Like that's
No,
impressive for like a receiver, but like Kelce used to like average games like that.
yeah, but at this point, I don't know if you say he's washed. I mean, defenses obviously pay attention to him, but
Yeah. I
to
don't know if
this,
he's I don't know if he's washed as more as there's more distractions in his life that football isn't everything. You know, like you're making all the money with your brother with the podcast. You have a ton of endorsement deals. You're dating Taylor Swift. Like you have millions upon millions of dollars. And whenever ever he does retire, he's gonna join Jason on this ESPN show. So that's just another career path basically set for you. Yeah, if I had all that going on in my life, I have a hard time focusing on football. It's like, man, I can make more money as talking than I do getting my head bashed in 20 weeks a year.
hmm and he has a
I
good
think I'll go
person.
more that route.
Yeah, he has a good personality. Obviously, a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's been a successful NFL player with multiple Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
He's had a great career. Like it might
yeah,
be time to just like hang up the cleats and it's like, hey, let's remember you when you were on top. Let's not have this drawn out where it's just like, man, he's progressing every single season.
hmm
Don't make
so
us feel bad for you at one point. You know?
because it just kind of tarnishes his
Yeah.
his
We
career in a
remember
way.
more of like, oh, he was a great player, but man, those last few years were ugly.
Yeah, but like if this is the year he goes out,
Yeah.
let it be the year. Like, okay, he had one bad year.
And then like it was a bad year, but
Yeah,
like it was one bad year, but he was still on a really good Chiefs team. So you know,
exactly.
it's
So,
just kind of like it's easier to forget about.
mhm. And with with his struggles recently, the Chiefs offense just isn't operating like they're used to. Mahomes
Yeah.
only had like 159 passing yards on 19 of 38. 2 touchdowns though, which is fantastic still, whatever. But Xavier Worthy hasn't, really looked good at all as much as because
No.
I think his first 2 weeks were really good, but like since then hasn't really
Yeah.
woken up per se.
And
No,
losing Rashid Rice is a huge loss for this
it
team because he was doing
was,
so well.
yeah, he was. So now they're stepping up on like with or guys like Juju have to step up, which not the best option. Justin Watson has to step up at times. It's just
Hopkins needs to step up.
Hopkins. Yeah, he didn't really do much on
He's not
Sunday
been
either.
what everyone thought he was going to be. Maybe he's a guy that's questionably washed at this point. Like if we're to
hmm
question anyone on the Chiefs teams being washed, it's DeAndre Hopkins
Yeah, the move to trade him wasn't like it was big news across the NFL. Like, oh, the Chiefs finally have a receiver number one. Yeah, but
because of
there's a
his name.
reason. Yeah, there's
It's
a
his name
reason why.
value.
There's a reason why Tennessee was willing to trade him away. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't doing that great in Tennessee either. So, uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, overall, I just want to point out that game specifically. Not the Browns, they lost. Whatever. I think they're moving on to a different quarterback. I think for next Sunday to I think DTR.
Yeah, that
I'm not
makes
exact.
sense. I mean, like, see what you have in DTR until
Mhm.
like, all right, like, because you know what you have in Jameis Winston. You're kind of stuck with Deshaun Watson. It's like, hey, could DTR be a potential future for this franchise? And an answer. Let's give him a run here and just see
See how
because
it goes.
we're not making the playoffs, so it's might as well just test it out.
Yeah. So, but overall, the Chiefs don't look. They won Sunday. That's great. They have the Houston Texans next Saturday actually, which is really
Saturday.
weird.
Yeah, the Chiefs are playing on
Oh.
Saturday and then playing Wednesday. The 4-day break.
Ooh, man. No wonder they were complaining. I heard they were complaining about how it's not fair that they had to play 3 games in like 10
Yeah.
days or whatever.
Like this one, I'll give it to the Chiefs. This is a little unfair. You guys got to play Saturday and then Wednesday, and then
Yeah. Good. Deal with
like
it.
I understand why the NFL wants it. They want the game on Christmas, but like guys, if it's a Wednesday, maybe take Christmas off this year.
Yeah.
Make us want football, you know?
Mm-hmm. Hey, sorry. They've had a lot of success already. Let them deal with some adversity. You know, like they'll figure
Oh
it
no,
out.
I'm not crying for them, but I get it. It's like, okay, they're gonna take a beating these next 10 days.
Oh yeah, 100%. So it's weird how they have NFL games the same day as the college football playoff, which is really bad. It's the you see the college football playoff should have their own day. Like let them have
Yeah.
their attention. Why have the NFL
Hmm.
play those two games on Saturday? But I digress.
Yeah. I mean, they did, but it was 4 teams. They had the New Year's 6 day.
Yeah, but now they're eating into the
Yeah.
attention that is what
And
the
now
start.
it's kind of hard at this point. I think when you get to the bigger rounds, they'll get their own spotlight. Like when you get to the quarterfinals, the semifinals, I think they get their own. But like this first round stuff is kind of like I could see the NFL be like, we'll try to compete with that one.
Yeah. So
Because like if you're not like a diehard college football fan, like you're really getting hyped up for Penn State at SMU.
especially it's in the ew, it's in the morning. I
It's
don't like that.
it's a gross game, right?
It's
It's
a
gross.
gross game. Like it's Beaver Stadium
Yeah.
in the
Like
daytime is not the same as at nighttime.
no, and it's gonna be a whiteout again, but like whiteouts don't hit in the day like they do at night.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Like the whiteout is really cool. Don't get me wrong. I love the whiteout. It's one of my favorite traditions in college football. But it has to be done at night.
It has to be done at night. That's when the atmosphere is better.
Yeah, and that's when it
Just
sticks out. It's like okay,
exactly.
the entire everything else around the stadium is dark except for this entire stadium where everybody's wearing white.
Mm-hmm. And now it's in the daytime at noon Eastern, and it's just
Yeah.
ugh.
Be like, okay, look at this. I'm like, this is just weird. Like,
Yeah.
no,
They should have
going
planned it
on?
a little bit more better, but that's college football for you.
Yeah, that's factors out of their control. I bet you they had this planned for weeks. Like, okay, if we make the playoffs, we're going to whiteout because we're going to surprise everybody and get hyped up. And they obviously didn't choose to be put on at noon.
Yeah, true. But all right, looking at the rest of the NFL, we'll touch on the scores, but there's a few games more they want to touch, especially the Giants game, of course, as always. Bengals beat the Titans 37-27, keep their playoff hopes alive. Packers
They
won
need a
us.
lot of. They
a
feel
lot
like
of
the
help.
Giants in 2012, when it's like this team is very clearly not making the playoffs. But if all these teams lose, they could make it.
They have to win out, and as long as these two teams lose 2 games,
Yeah.
this one team lose 3 games,
Yeah,
they'll make it in.
That's what it feels like. I remember like that after that Super Bowl run, the next year the Giants. I mean, the Giants went 9-7 that year, so they were at least respectable. Unlike the Bengals, have had a pretty brutal season. But I remember it's like every week, it's like, all right, if this team wins and these 4 teams lose, hey, better odds. It's like,
we're
guys,
in.
just admit you're not making the playoffs. Be surprised if you do, but just don't get your hopes up. I've been through this song and dance routine before. It ends in pain.
The worst thing that you have to root for for your team is having to root for other teams to lose because you just don't know.
We need like 16. When you like have your mind on 6 different games at once, and it's like, did you bet on any of this? Like, no, all these games affect my team making the playoff. It's like, dude, it's not happening.
So for the Bengals, they have a chance. It's a slim chance, but they need to keep on winning. And they should have blown out Tennessee. And we've seen Joe Burrow upset.
But yeah, because Joe Burrow would be an MVP candidate if his team was good.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's having the best year of his career, and nobody's talking about it because of how bad the defense is. Like, if I'm Joe Burrow, and I know this might come off as crazy, but if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm going to the owner of the front office and be like, when I was on my rookie deal, you put no money into the offensive line. Now I have a big contract now, and the defense sucks. I can't win a Super Bowl when the team around me isn't thick. So either fix the roster or get me somewhere that they're going to fix the roster.
Exactly.
This is just a long-winded way for me when I was, I have my friends from college came down the other weekend, and we had a good time like we always do. And I enjoyed one too many drinks. I'm like, is there a possibility that Joe Burrow could get traded to the Giants?
Oh my God.
I was like, wait a minute. What if he gets pissed off at ownership because they don't put money into the team?
I wonder how much it would cost. A
There,
lot.
oh my god, it's gonna cost so much. It's not even worth it. I mean, it is a 0.001% chance of happening. But
it's good to imagine.
1%.
It's good to think about it. Good to imagine it. So
it is fun to think about. Like, man,
yeah,
Joe Burrow and the Giants and the Malik neighbors.
dots, and maybe
Dots.
Jamar Chase comes over here. Dream big. Hey,
Yeah, I think T. Higgins. I mean, T. Higgins is definitely the more realistic. If there's anyone on the Bengals that's going to be a Giant next year, T. Higgins is the more realistic guy. And I think our stiff competition is going to be the Patriots because they seem all in on him.
Mm-hmm. So we'll talk a lot more about free agency as we after the season ends, of course.
To it, yeah.
I think we'll do like a free agent review, like best fit for the Giants. It'll be a fun segment.
Yeah, we'll make it fun.
But yeah, Cincinnati, keep on winning, or else one more loss and you're out. So let's see what happens.
It's not one more loss. It's if one thing doesn't go your way in the the shopping list of things that need to go your way, you're done.
Yeah. All right, Commanders keep on winning. 9-5. They beat the Saints 20-19. Good for them. The Cowboys beat the Panthers 30-14 in a game that the Panthers were favored.
Surprisingly, not a game in that one. I'm like, Panthers are gonna win this game. They're upset. They're beating Dallas, and Dallas just came out there and showed you why the Panthers are one of the worst teams in the league.
Mm-hmm. I'm right. So, playoff hopes for them are officially now dead. For Carolina. So
again, not like they had much going for them.
But you can only hope.
What was more likely, the Panthers making the playoffs or the Giants ready for Joe Burrow?
Oh. I mean, the Panthers had a 0.1% chance.
I'm gonna say I think it's the Panthers.
Yeah, pretty much. Jets won 32-25 against the Jaguars. So a battle of mid between those two teams that the Jets.
That's offensive to mid teams.
I know. It's crazy how all of a sudden the Jets want to turn things up after they eliminated from the playoffs officially.
Wait, no, wait, guys. We'll be back. 2025 is our year. No, not again. We're not doing another offseason of this.
Like, this was supposed to be the year. But
it was supposed to be last year that Aaron Rodgers' knee exploded, and then this year you sucked.
Well, yeah,
no sympathy for any of you people, because all you did was yell at me saying, "Oh, the Jets are going to win a Super Bowl." I'm like, guys, it's Aaron Rodgers in his 40s. Let's all like just relax a little bit. Like, he still has to deal with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Like, they're all better than you still. Even with Aaron Rodgers, they're better than you.
Devontae Adams did go off in this game, though. 9 catches, 198 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it sucked when you're facing someone in fantasy that's got Devontae Adams and Amon-Ra St. Brown on the team. You know, you put up 170 points, but you lose because the other team put up 200. It's like, Jesus. We're the Lions. You couldn't do anything else.
Sometimes it's just bad luck.
Tyreek Hill sucks in the playoffs. I'm done with Tyreek Hill.
Speaking of the Dolphins, they lost 20-12 to the Houston Texans. Tua just threw for 196 yards only on the day. Malik Washington led the team in receiving for the Dolphins, which is a very, very bad sign. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I figured I'd get that reaction from you. Yeah, Tyreek Hill has not looked the same at all this year whatsoever for Miami.
I mean, like, it is the year. Well, remember Tyreek a couple years ago said that I only have 2 years left in the league, and everyone was shocked by that. I understand why you said that now.
Yeah, does not look the same whatsoever.
Sense. He lost a step.
Mm-hmm. Big step, if I add too. Denver, 9-5, still in the playoff hunt, 31-13.
I love this Broncos team.
Yeah.
Like, there's just something about, like, I know Sean Payton's, like, you can have your opinion about Sean Payton. There's just something really likable about them. I don't know if it's like Bo Nix or just like the fact that this Broncos team was really good when, like, we were in middle school and we have, like, the nostalgic memories of the Broncos with Peyton Manning and stuff, and we're remembering that right now. But something like I might put a future on them to win and just kind of go with them as my playoff team.
Yeah, they're a gritty team, man. I mean, Bo Nix there's been days, where he hasn't played like a rookie. Like, he's playing extremely well, despite those supporting cast not as big of a name as you want it to be.
Yeah,
he's been well.
They might be a sneaky spot for T. Higgins.
Ooh, I know.
I've seen him being a dark horse.
Dark horse for T. Higgins for sure.
Yeah. Oh, someone just killed me. That was horrible.
Oh, I get it. Sorry.
Oh my God, you didn't get it?
I was so late. So late. Come on, Nate. Uh, so late. No. Eagles beat the Steelers 27-13. Cardinals won.
I will give credit to the Eagles here. That's your quality win. That's a
Yeah.
quality win for the Eagles. The Steelers were a team, a pesky team, and they're on the 10-game winning streak. I'm now ready to say they're the second best team in the NFC now after that win on. Like, in college, they talk about quality wins. That's the Eagles' quality win for college.
Yeah, they got the passing game going. Fantastic.
Yep.
Let's see it happen more than one game before we go all
Right,
crazy.
yeah, exactly.
I swear. They'd have Jalen Hurts one good passing game. Everyone wants to go nuts. Like, calm the F down. Jesus.
Oh, no. I still
Oh, yeah, I
think
know
the
you
Eagles
are
gonna
for
lose.
sure.
Yeah, but I'm like, I will be fair. I will give them credit. I'm going to go throw up, but I'll give them credit.
Cardinals beat the Patriots 30-17, and then the Bucks beat the Chargers 40-17.
Shocking, actually.
Shocking, indeed. Packers beat the Seahawks 30-13, and then on Sunday, on our Monday Night Football, for some reason, why can't I? Oh yeah, the Bears lost to the Vikings. The Bears lost, and then the Falcons beat the Raiders in also another battle of mid 15-9.
A lot closer than I thought it'd be. That one.
Oh,
the Raiders were at it. I was watching. I'm like, the Raiders are gonna win this game.
Yeah, it was so ugly. It was like 9-3 at halftime.
I'm like, why are we watching? Like, we have 2 Monday night games and they both suck.
Yeah, Minnesota blew Chicago out.
Yeah, like I turned the game on and I'm like, these both are horrific.
Horrific, indeed. Then there was our
Speaking
game.
of Monday night, I had the Monday night parlay last night. I had the Vikings -7, the Falcons -5.5, the under in the Falcons game, and the over in the Vikings Bears game, which missed by 1.5. I would have won $30. Had the 2-point conversion for the Bears converted, I would have won $40.
Talk about bad beats.
Yeah, bad
can't
beat.
Can't be worse.
Bad beat. This is just painful. Like, you lost, but you lost by 1.5, and that 1.5 would have come. The Bears just got the 2-point conversion.
Hey, not as worse as David Montgomery and his season total. Because his season bet I heard was like 775 rushing yards, and he finished with exactly 775 rushing yards because of the whole injury thing.
Right.
Yeesh. Bad beat for a lot of people
brutal.
out there. All right.
Ew.
We'll keep it short because we have college football to talk about. And
the Giants suck. Okay, they suck. I said it in the open. We suck. I don't trust Joe Shane anymore. Not because of anything. I just want change. Okay, if you're gonna go 0-9 at home, and I don't care how bad Daniel Jones was, this roster was so bad that even when we moved on from Jones, we still couldn't win a game. Like, yeah, we're competitive. We're competitive against bad teams. Anytime this team faced anyone that actually had competent offense, we got our doors blown off. So this is not a good roster.
Neighbors played well. 10 catches, 82 yards, touchdown, which is great, right? Tim Boyle came in and played okay. Like, he looked like a competent quarterback back there. But I'm not. Yeah, there's no. Where's Kayvon Thibodeau? I don't know.
He's repeating his thing of just being inconsistent. He's like, I think Talking Giants had this. Like, he's a 250-pound linebacker that plays like a 275-pound linebacker. Like, he just doesn't play for his weight.
There's just times where I just don't know if we're gonna bring him back on that 5th-year option. We're not bringing back Evan Neal.
No,
for sure.
I would not be surprised if Thibodeau got traded this offseason. Because I think he has value, and I think we could get something good for him. I think we get like a day 2 pick for Kayvon, which I know is like, it sucks he was a 5th overall pick, but like, recoup the asset. Get something for this inconsistent guy and try again.
Yeah,
because you're stuck with Burns, and Burns has been fine this year.
Yeah, no complaints.
Like I have what's he got, like 8 sacks now?
Mm-hmm.
He had a really good sack in the first half against the Ravens. And I think once the defense gets better, he'll get better. But like, Kayvon Thibodeau is just nothing.
It'll be tough. It's gonna be a tough offseason to decide his fate with the
Mm-hmm.
Giants. Okay, do you still? I still believe him, but I can't
I
even
think a
talk
lot
again.
of guys are going to have that. Like, I really think the only untouchable players are going to be like Tyrone Tracy, Malik Neighbors, Brian Burns, Newbin, Adoree Phillips. Kind of it.
Thomas,
Yeah, Thomas. I could see Thomas potentially getting moved because of the injuries.
but he's our best left tackle.
He's the best. It would take like a Laramie Tunsil type trade, but I think he's got like a 98% chance of staying. Whereas like there's that 2% chance of like if a team calls and just offers something stupid, you have to take it.
Like you're worried a little bit.
Yeah, like okay, we're concerned about injuries. We have this team offering us like 3 first-round picks. Like, how do we not take that?
Mm-hmm. I'm not. It's not like I came to this morning or this episode wanting to talk about the game as much. I want to highlight neighbors, of course. Boyle played okay. The defense, Lamar tore him up with his arm. Derrick Henry didn't have a good rushing game, but Lamar had 5 passing
Oh,
touchdowns.
Dexter not being moved. Dexter
Right.
Lawrence.
Yes. Oh yeah. In terms of untouchables, Dexter
Yes.
Lawrence definitely not someone that's going to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to discuss Shane and Dable real quick before we move on to college football and then our final segment. I want it to be a package deal. I don't want one to go because it just doesn't feel right.
Right.
But does it just feel like at this point one of them,
Yes.
like one of them just goes?
I feel like that Mara is looking more for a reason not to fire them than he is of why to fire them. You know.
Well, then why not he just look at himself?
Well, because he can't. Well, because Mara's an idiot. That's why.
Yeah.
He's
Because maybe he needs to look in the mirror. Okay,
Yeah.
because the reason why I bring up Shane and Dable because there's an article out on the New York Post where they talk about how like they may not be they shouldn't be the package deal like we think they are. Like if one goes, the other one goes. And that's how I low-key want it to be. Like if one goes, the other one should, because they're just they're a tandem together. They came from Buffalo.
Right.
They're good. It's just the players.
Are they really a tandem deal, or have we just put them together because they both came from Buffalo? You know? Like yeah, I'm sure they have a great relationship and everything. I'm sure they know each other very well. But at the end of the day, if Joe Shane is given that, hey, we think you're the guy, is he really trusting Brian Dable, who has regressed every year as a coach, to save his job for him? Like, I think moving on from Dable would be a lot easier than moving on from Joe Shane, because you could bring in a Mike Vrabel and be like, okay, you're going to run the team. You can run a locker room. Dable, there's serious questions if he could be that kind of locker room guy. Like, we saw it in the Bucs game. He lost that locker room after the whole Daniel Jones thing.
But I found Dable because yeah, I'm like, I can't fudge and talk. Jesus, you're kind of approaching it from Shane's perspective. I think I'll take the Dable perspective. I'm like, okay, sure, I may have sort of lost the locker room, but you've given me this.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with Tim Boyle, DeVito, Locke, and Jones? None of them were competent enough to be the Giants quarterback. I'm dealing with a very injury-riddled offensive line, which you did not address other than Runyon and Illuminor. There's no depth that was added in the draft or in free agency. We lost Saquon Barkley, which I won't even get into because we have Tyrone Tracy, and I'm not complaining whatsoever.
Yeah, it kind of that evens out in a way. Like I know Saquon Barkley's a generational back in Philly right now, but like if he's on the Giants maybe win one more game, 2.
Mm-hmm. And plus, defensively, we're awful.
Yeah.
Both guys have made questionable decisions.
Oh yeah,
all year long. From Shane, and this is just an example. Shane releasing Nick McLeod. Why the fudge would you do that? Because now we have no corners. Dable with his questionable play calling at times. Going for 2 when he doesn't really need to go for 2.
No, it's like he's being it's like the Brandon Staley thing where he's just being aggressive to be aggressive.
just to
Like
be
the
aggressive.
Giants
Yeah.
have gone for every single 4th and 1 this year. Like
Mhm.
I love that aggressive style, but like pick your battles. Like,
Exactly.
okay, it's 4th and 1. We're at, our own 42. It's the first quarter. Hey, let's just punt it off and just see what the defense can do.
Yeah. So I want it to be a package. I want both of them just one or two more years. You have to
Mm-hmm.
let them have their guy. I understand, like, why should they have their own guy if they can't even operate? So what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm not asking you. I'm like, what do you fans out there want? Because if we okay, let's go back freaking 4 weeks ago. Let's say they're on a 4-game winning streak. You know what? A lot of us would still be upset. Why? Because we're not tanking for a quarterback. We are at this point tanking for
Yeah.
for taking for a quarterback. So what do you want? Do you want to win or do you want to lose? You can't have both
Yeah.
because at the rate we're going, we're doing a fantastic job at landing ourselves a quarterback. We need to keep losing. And as much as it hurts, as much as we see the planes flying and all that, I know Joe's sitting up there and it's a little sweet and he's watching and he may look upset and he may be receiving this criticism. But he knows that if they keep going at the rate they are, they will get their guy. Dable, yes, he's yelling on the sidelines and all that stuff. Like, and people are making fun of him, like, oh, just your weekly Dable fake yelling, getting mad at his team. But even he knows he's getting his own guy. John Mara, if you're smart enough, and I swear to God, because I'm an advocate for keeping both together.
Yeah.
Because that is the smart move to do if you're
Mhm.
Mara. The issue is that you have your sorry ass, excuse my language, that's my second cuss word that I'm going to use, my second cuss word pass on the day. You look at the scouting department around you and you got to stop with your family members running this team.
Yeah.
You cannot keep, depending on McDowell, your son-in-law, because
Mhm.
he's your son-in-law. I I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, he's your son-in-law. You don't think that's John Mara's voice in that room. Like when John
exactly.
Mara's not there, it's him.
Yeah. Like, do you think McDowell
Yeah.
was the one who came up with in the Hard Knocks, like, without Saquon, what's our offense? No, that's basically Mara telling McDowell, hey,
Yeah.
mention
Like,
that
you don't think
in a
those
meeting.
guys talk on a daily basis? I
Yeah.
get like McDowell, you say whatever if McDowell was a free agent, there is not a single NFL team that signs him to be a scout.
Nope.
Nope,
I
because
know.
because he's a nepotism hire.
Exactly. And then also Chris Mara is his son.
Chris Mara, yes. I forgot what he does, but he was fired, I think.
Oh, thank God.
I think it was Chris. There was a Mara in like a very high role, and when Shane got in, he was like, get him out.
Yeah, he was fired, right?
He was
Chris Mara. No, he's still on the team. He's a
Chris,
yeah, gosh damn it.
what is he? He might just be on the business side of things, so
Senior personnel consultant. So he does
senior
deal with player
personnel. So he's
personnel.
dealing with players, yeah.
Yeah. So
But there was a Mara or like somebody that Joe Shane fired immediately. Like I forgot who it was, but there was somebody.
we'll find out one of these days. But yeah, if Mara's smart, you keep these two together.
Oh yeah.
I understand people are asking for us. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just kind of I think the reason why we Giants fans are calling for Dable and Shane's head is because they're just so tired of losing. Like back in 2017 when we went 3-13, that was supposed to be the start of the rebuild. We brought in Dave Gettleman, we brought in Pat Shurmur. That's when we should have started rebuilding. We had a chance to take a quarterback. We took Saquon Barkley and tried to milk everything we had left Eli Manning. If this was a smartly run organization, this is nothing against Eli Manning at all. Great quarterback. But when you have a high pick like that, in a quarterback-rich class like that, you take a quarterback. Especially when your quarterback is 38 years old. I don't care how long he sat behind Eli for. He learns the game, and then he goes in. Instead, the Giants try to continue to win, and it pushed the rebuild back. And it just kept going back and back and back until finally in 2022, it was finally, okay, Now we rebuild, but then we made the playoffs. Then our expectations got higher, and then we're back to losing. So it just feels like we've done a whole big circle, and now Giants fans are impatient. It's like, hey, we've been rebuilding for like 8 years now. When is it going to be we're winning? So they want people to come in and just make quick fixes to make the roster competitive next year and not look at the big picture of this is going to take time, guys. This Giants roster was so bad when Joe Shane inherited it. And yeah, Brian Dable took them to the playoffs, and that's great. But that team definitely overachieved and won a lot of one-score games they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, a lot of one-score games were literally the theme of that season because the defense was holding things down and the Giants are winning and all that. But no, those have their
I think if we don't make the playoffs in 2022, there would still be calls for Joe. We wouldn't have extended Daniel Jones. So, but say we were still in that building process, there would still be calls for Dable and Shane's heads. But I think they'd be a lot quieter than they are now. I think it'd be people just impatient. Because like, no. There is signs here.
Because of that playoff appearance,
the playoff appearance pushed everything up.
And that playoff appearance led to Jones getting re-signed.
You could make the argument that the 2022 playoffs, no matter how much fun we had that season, was the worst thing to happen to this franchise in the past 10 years.
True.
Because when Shane and Dable came in, I think everyone in the fan base was like, okay, we're committed to the rebuild. And then they won, and it was like, oh, actually, we're going to win now.
Yeah. So if I'm Mara, and I'll say it again, you better keep these two together. I know it's bad, but you have to realize this is the best thing that needs to happen for the Giants right now. It's just to keep losing. Does it suck? Of course it does. Will you lose your final home game? I hope so. But you're competing with the Raiders for that number 1 pick. And if you're Mara, you do not want any stress about having to worry about, okay, well, if they get Ward, do we get Sanders? If they get Sanders, do we get Ward? No.
Let them pick their guy.
Let keep on losing. If the Raiders keep losing, fantastic. Then we'll figure it out from there about who gets number 1 seed. I don't freaking know.
I think it's tiebreakers at that point.
Oh, okay. Well,
Vegas has a tiebreaker right now because they have a strength of schedule of 538, and we have a strength schedule of 550.
Well, because we'll be Raiders fans for these next few weeks.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, what's the Raiders schedule looking like? Are there any winnable games? Probably not.
Has to. They have
Raiders. Actually, yeah. It's Jacksonville, New Orleans, and the Chargers. They could win a game there.
Just one. All we need is one.
Jacksonville or New Orleans. They could sneaky upset them.
All we need is one.
Chargers, they're probably not. But hey, who knows the Chargers will be playing for anything that week?
True. No, all we need is one. Chicken nuggets are coming to Taco.
What?
I don't freaking know. Yeah.
Ew, no. That's not Taco Bell. No. Is McDonald's going to sell tacos now?
Dipping sauces, including...
Hang on. Burger King did sell tacos.
Ew. When was this?
2017-ish. It was funny. We have a family friend, and they have one of their sons was younger at the time. He was probably like second or first grade. And he's like, I want to save up for $1 and buy a Burger King taco. So he saved up, got the $1, took one bite, and goes, I wasted my $1.
Too weird.
I'm like, oh, that makes me feel bad. Like, I'll give him a new $1.
Waste some money. Waste some money
on a Burger King taco. So yeah, they tricked the 6-year-old. Of course he's gonna think it's good.
It's like, why would you trust?
Doesn't understand how fast food works.
Jesus. Quick update. Browns Dolphins moved out of Sunday Night Football in Week 17, replaced by Falcons and Commanders.
That's not much better.
Not much better, but it's ill. They're hoping that Jaden Daniels is for better ratings.
Are they hoping that is it in Washington?
It is in Washington.
So they're hoping for the storyline of Kirk Cousins going back.
That is correct.
Got it.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes,
Makes sense.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, thank God. Let's move on because I don't want to talk about this team no more. All right, college football playoffs, and then we'll do our top 5 announcers of all time that we like. maybe may not be an accurate list in terms of like the best announcers in the world that
No,
we all can
this is
agree on.
personal. This is personal.
This is us. This is us. But the college football playoffs do start this week. Super exciting time, especially for Brian, of course, because your boys are in after a weird season where you guys lost to a very weak FBS school, which I forget their name now.
NIU.
Please, NIU. Thank you very much. The panic button was pressing away, but you were like, we may have lost, but as long as we win out, we'll be fine. NIU went on to be another ranked team, which made your case even better. You guys won out the rest of the way.
Won out, and that just won out. Won in dominating fashion. We beat our opponents by an average margin of victory of 18 points, and we beat teams like Army and Navy, who are really respected this year and like had their best season since World War II. We beat a Georgia Tech team that went on to beat Miami and then go to like multiple overtimes with Georgia, which we crushed them, and Georgia Tech is beating Miami and almost beating Georgia. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So the resume got a lot stronger for us down the road.
Yeah, and congrats to you guys. Obviously, a hell of a season. It's not over yet, as you guys face.
We still got work to do.
Yeah, you guys still got Indiana. How do you feel about this game? Is there any, I guess, keys, expectations that
I'm really confident in this team because they've overcome adversity all year. As long as this defense continues to play lockdown the way they have, like don't repeat the USC performance. Just lockdown D, and then just hope Jeremiah Love is healthy, and we'll run with the Price and Love connection. We're running down their throats.
Okay, all right.
And Ryan Leonard can't throw stupid turnovers. He can't throw stupid passes. He's got to be smart.
So this Friday, you guys
Friday night.
So Friday night.
Friday Night Lights.
I like that. I like how that's the only game on Friday. That's
it's a standalone. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had Notre Dame in that one. Obviously, I know Indiana had a great season, but they had a weak schedule this year.
They didn't beat anybody, and when they played somebody, they got crushed. When they played
up.
Ohio State, they lost.
So definitely expect Notre Dame to pull this one out. In terms of the Saturday, though, SMU and Penn State at 12 p.m. Eastern, like we mentioned earlier. Weird one.
Weird one, but I'll take Penn State in that one. Take
Penn State as well. Clemson and Texas. Weirdly enough, not very confident in Texas.
No, me neither. I think it's gonna be really close. I haven't seen the lines yet because I'll look at that on Thursday. But I think I'll take Clemson with the points.
Yeah.
I'll take Clemson. I think Texas will win, but I think Clemson will cover.
I think Clemson wins outright. I just don't believe Quinn Ewers after what he played, he played his last game. It just,
I can see that.
Yeah, I'm very confident.
I just don't really trust Clemson either. I think it's more of what it is I just don't trust them. I don't like the way they've played. Like they just kind of snuck into this playoff because they won the ACC. They didn't win that, they wouldn't be here. So Texas will win the first round and then lose next round.
I think Clemson, they beat Texas, they beat Arizona State, so they kind of sneak into that top four, but I think they lose in that semifinal. Clemson does. So I do have Clemson moving into the top four, just losing when they get there. So the winner of SMU and Penn State takes on Boise State on December 31st. The winner of Clemson, Texas takes on Arizona State. The winner of Ohio State, Tennessee. Oh, we didn't touch Ohio State yet. I got the Buckeyes. Same as you?
Yeah. I want to take Tennessee, but I love Nico. I just do not trust him yet. Yeah. He's still so young. Give him like 2 years, he's going to be really good, but just not right now as a freshman.
Exactly. So winner of Ohio State and Tennessee takes on Oregon. So we could see another Ohio State Oregon rematch once again. And then the winner of Notre Dame and Indiana takes on Georgia. So that's going to be, I predict you guys are going to move on. It's just, can you beat Georgia? We'll have to see.
I think we could beat Georgia
on New Year's too.
This is not an impressive Georgia. This is the Georgia team of the past. This is not an impressive team. This is a team that they would have made it in outright, but they would have made it in as far like the 10th or 11th. This is a team that's so highly rated because they won the SEC, and that's it. This is a team that's played bad against Alabama. They played good against Texas, but that's more in Texas. They played bad against Georgia Tech. It's like, if one of the things is common opponents, Notre Dame won 31-13 against Georgia Tech. Georgia barely pulled out in overtime against Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm. So by default, that means
By default, you'd be like, all right, Irish have an advantage.
that means Notre Dame has a chance, or has a good chance to beat Georgia.
Yeah. And Carson Beck is he might be
Very,
out. He
I
might be out for
know,
that game. So they might be
questionable. I
running with a
think.
backup.
Yeah, they have plenty of time to rest him up.
Yeah,
So
but
will he
he
be
might
ready?
be like I saw his elbow injury, like it's bad. Like he might be
Yeah.
out. He might not come back.
Gunner Stockton time for
Oh
Georgia.
boy.
Oh boy. Alrighty, we can finally move on to fun stuff. Top 5 announcers list. So we talked about this last week. So it's not like you mentioned. It's our favorite announcers. Can be local.
Oh, Nate freeze? Oh, he froze. Or did I freeze? I don't know. I think Nate froze. let's text him and see what's going on. Yeah, so he's frozen. So yeah, so basically our top 5 list is our top 5 favorite announcers. It's either, you get the local guys, like, when you're watching, the MLB team, NHL team, NBA team, you have the local broadcasters, the guys that, invite to your house every week and do that. Or you have like the national guys when you watch the nationally televised games, or, the football games. Those are your announcers. That is what we're looking at this list. And we're only looking at play-by-play guys. We'll be doing color analysts next on Thursday. So only guys like Joe Buck, Mike Tirico, Al Davis, Al Davis, or Al Michaels. Those are the guys we're looking at this list right now. So I'll get us started. Number 5, I have Kevin Harlan. Kevin Harlan is an NFL announcer. I believe he works for CBS. He is famous for it was the Chiefs and Patriots game in 2021, the last year of Brady, and they were fighting for the second seed in the AFC. And Harlan was calling the game at Arrowhead, calling what happened there, and then after the play was over, be like, and going back to Foxborough, and then do a play-by-play of the Foxborough game. And forgot who his analyst. I think it was Gus Johnson was his analyst. And he goes, "What game you calling?" He goes, "I'm calling both games." Like, it's just a very, very funny, famous moment from NFL. It's always sticked out to me. Kevin Harlan going, and he's got such an iconic voice too. That Kevin Harlan going, "I'm calling both games." Very, very funny. Number 4 is Vince Scully. If there's any baseball fan that dreamt of becoming, working sports media, being a play-by-play caster one day, you always looked at Vince Scully as the gold standard. The way he described the game, the way he talked, the way he did the entire broadcast for not just the TV, but the radio without a play-by-play guy, without a color analyst with them. He did it all, whether it was the storytelling, his, aspect of the game, because he's called, game since I think he started in 1940s. Like, he started when the Dodgers were in Brooklyn. I mean, a true trailblazer of the sport. Never going to, there'll never be another Vince Scully in our lifetimes ever again. He will be forever the top play announcer of all time. He's 4 for me because I have more personal attachments to 1 through 3. Number 3 is Kevin Burkhardt. Might seem a little weird to people outside of the New York metro area. But for me, I've been watching Kevin Burkhardt my entire life. Why? Hang on one. Sorry, I thought I had to sneeze there. It didn't. Anyway, Kevin Burkhardt was actually the Mets sideline reporter for years. Like back in 2008, 9, 10. I forgot exactly when he left and was placed by Steve Gelbs. Well, I love Steve Gelbs. Don't get me wrong. Steve Gelbs took over in. Steve Gelbs he was at MSG 2014. He took in Kevin Burkhardt left in 2014, so he left the 2015 season. Then went to Fox, and he's now the lead. And Nathan's back. Is he? Can you hear us? Nate,
Hello?
we're good.
Yes?
All right.
Are we? I have no clue.
Yeah, I can hear you, but
No?
your voice is really off from your lips.
I knew it. I knew it. All right. I'll be back.
Yep. So Nate's not back yet. We'll get him in a few more minutes. Well, back to Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin Burkhardt is now the lead analyst on Fox with Tom Brady. It's very funny seeing like how far he comes. Like growing up, I've watched his entire career. I watched him when he first started with SNY. I watched him be that play-by-play guy. There are great videos online. If you're ever looking for a laugh one day, Burkhardt was the Mets sideline reporters when they were building Citi Field. And every game they would have, or like every few games or so, they would have the Citi Field update. And it was Kevin Burkhardt talking to the Citi Field construction people, kind of like a man on the street type video about how the stadium was progressing. And at the end, it's just very funny watching Citi Field be built like that. And I think they're still up online on YouTube. Go check those out. And now think about watching what he's doing, because he's kind of being like funny and stuff during it. Imagine him as Fox's lead play-by-play guy. So that's a little funny. Sticking with the Mets at number 2, I have Gary Cohen, the current play-by-play voice of the Mets on SNY. Was on the radio WFAN with the guy who's number 1 on my list. If you're a Mets fan, you know who that is. But Gary Cohen, the voice of my childhood, been watching him my entire life. He is a Mets encyclopedia. He always has a great way of calling the game, and him playing off with Howie, with Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez, always brings a smile to my face. And then number 1, without question, rose the ranks here, because I think if you would ask me about this list 4 years ago, I probably would have said Gary Cohen was first, and this guy was second. But over the years, I've grown to like him more. And number 1 is Howie Rose. Howie Rose is the radio host of the Mets. He's been doing it for, I want to say, since like late 80s, early 90s. He was on FAN when the Mets were on WFAN. He went with them to WOR. He's now on WCBS, which is now like the Mets Odyssey radio network. Like, it's not WCBS anymore. I think actually ESPN bought that, and now he's on that. But it's like it's all through Odyssey now. Odyssey owns all the big radio stations and whatnot. But Howie Rose, there's just something about the way he calls a game, the way he tells stories during the game. He's very similar to Vince Scully, but in a Mets sort of way. Like, I remember like during like the pandemic in 2021, when I was still in college, going to college at home and living at home. I had a part-time job. I would work, let's say on a Friday afternoon. I get up for class at like 8 in the morning, get in my car, get to school at 9, go to classes, then drive to work for my shift at 11:30, and then it would end at 8 o'clock. So, I was out of my house for 12 hours a day for most days. And I would always feel this sense of calm when I turned my car on and Howie would just start talking to me. It felt like a friend welcomed me after a long, hard day working. We just relax and watch the Met game. So that's why Howie's number 1 for me. A lot of famous moments with Howie Rose. And the fact he's a radio guy, I get all his calls from the playoff runs, the big moment like the Mike Piazza home run after 9/11, them clinching the pennant. You could just hear in his voice how much the New York Mets mean to him. So that's why number 1. So quickly to go again: 5, Kevin Harlan; 4, Vince Scully; 3, Kevin Burkhardt; 2, Gary Cohen; and number 1, Howie Rose. So that will do it for the 3rd and 10 podcast. Oh, are we good?
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Fuck you, Xfinity. That's my
I was just about to close the show out, but I just finished my list, so perfect.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, thank you for... So I will run it back and listen to what your top 5 was.
I'll say it right now. It was Kevin Harlan, Vince Scully, Kevin Burkhardt, Gary Cohen, and Howie Rose. That was my 5.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll run mine through quickly because first, I do apologize for my internet issues. So yeah, this is going to be fun to edit back. But number 5 for me on my announcer list is Chris Correa. He was the part-time A's main broadcaster this year after the whole fiasco that happened last year with I forgot his name. Correa, he's a young broadcaster, but his energy was great calling the A's game, so he was fun. Number 4 is Tom McCarthy of the Phillies broadcast. Love him and John Kruk when they're together. It's super funny when they call Phillies games, so that's super fun as well. Number 3 is Kevin Burkhardt as well. I know he was on your list. His energy too.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Mets sideline reporter before he was Fox's guy.
Oh.
From like the early mid 2000s to 2015, he was the Mets sideline reporter.
Oh, yeah,
that's how he got to start.
The more you know.
Yep.
Gus Johnson, number 2 for me. When he calls college football games, it's super, super energetic. Like, this guy is just out. He just comes up with the most like randomest, like, you got barbecue back there? They didn't invite me. Like, just random stuff like that. Love him. And then number 1 is Joe Davis, Dodgers announcer. But I love him for his, when he calls games in the playoffs, whether baseball, the NFL games as well. Whenever he calls a game, it's just super. I love hearing him. He's a good play-by-play broadcaster for sure. So that's my top 5. Chris Correa, Tom McCarthy, Kevin Burkhardt, Gus Johnson, and Joe Davis. And I'm going to keep it short. I will talk about more, but the internet might go down anytime soon. So we'll just save that. We'll save our future conversation for Thursday. So we'll talk a little bit more about college football playoffs on Thursday as well. I'll talk more about the NFL and some other
top 5 analysts. We did play. We're doing analysts on Thursday.
Fantastic. We'll do analysts on Thursday then. So yeah, you can follow us on our social media. Brian at BrianPG1016. You can follow me at Nathan_124, and you can follow our podcast page above at Third and 10 Pod on all social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. For that being said, episode 50 is on the way on Thursday. So we hope to see you guys then here for that. And we got a lot more topics to discuss on Thursday as we approach week 16 of the NFL season. For Brian, I'm Nate. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys in the